The 14-year-old Mira, hiccuping, clung to Erics Hart's chest. Everyone stood frozen like stone watching the scene. She had come to the wedding ceremony. "They all say you don't oppress anyone. Save me." She pleaded innocently through her tears, while the blood trickling from her lips revealed the brutal violence inflicted on her by the people of this grand house. "Take her to my room," wiping the blood from her lips with his finger in disgust. He turned his face away. The innocent girl, mistaking him for kind, went to his room, unaware that hell was about to break loose, because just moments earlier, she had carried her own brother's funeral bier with her hands. A little later, he entered the room, exhausted. His brother's death had plunged everyone into grief. "What are you doing here?" His gaze fell on Mira's fragile form huddled in the corner. A sudden wave of anger surged through him. He was a handsome 25-year-old man. Seeing Mira instantly reminded him that his brother had been killed because of her father. All for the greed of a piece of land, a feud had erupted between the two families, causing loss on both sides. One family lost a son, the other paid the price by giving away their daughter. The youngest, this innocent one, who had barely seen the world, had become the victim of this cruelty. Erics Hart took long strides and stopped close to her. Mira, crying in fear, stood pressed against the wall. In front of him, she felt tiny. His tall stature and muscular build made Mira seem like just a child. She truly was a child who had fallen prey to injustice. As per the family's habit, they had begun taking their revenge, as if she were the one who had sinned. The finger marks on her cheeks told the story of the torment she had endured. For a fleeting moment, Erics felt pity for her, but that moment was brief. The next instant, the memory of his brother's death ignited a fire of hatred in his eyes. "You told me to go to your room. Don't hurt me. I haven't done anything. Save me. I've heard you're not bad." She recounted the rumors innocently through her sobs, which were part of her nature. Yes, it was true. He was softer-hearted compared to others. Anger showed, but he knew how to control it. Erics Hart leaned in, locking his deep black eyes into her innocent grey ones. "You think I'm good? That I'll let you go?" His threatening voice quickened Mira's heartbeat, still gathering courage. She nodded. In doing so, she looked utterly adorable and innocent. For a moment, Erics Hart forgot that this girl had arrived at the wedding ceremony. A beautiful feeling stirred within him. Erics Hart was a 25-year-old young man with emotions. But he also knew self-control. The next moment, hatred in his eyes instantly erased that brief softness. Then the memory of his brother's death touched him again. Suddenly he yelled, "Let go! It hurts!" He grabbed her delicate hair. Tears flowed like rain. "It hurts you! What about our pain? What about my mother's sighs?" His cry was for his lost son. "Yes, all this was done by your father and brother. Right? Now they will die too. You will die. You people will suffer every moment. I'll give you such punishment here that you'll beg for death." In the intensity of his rage, he ranted uncontrollably, tightening his grip. She writhed in his firm hold. Erics felt barely conscious at that moment. Otherwise, his true nature wasn't that of the monster he had become today. In the fire of revenge, when he finally released her, he began to calm down. She lay in the corner, terrified and sobbing, silent, completely silent. Erics threatened, "Dare make a sound or no one will be worse than me." At his roar, Mira choked back her sobs and sat there. Her delicate grey eyes held shadows of oceans, and Erics Hart didn't want to drown in that sea. Somewhere in a corner, this awakening feeling drove him away for a moment. But for how long? Only time would tell. The same atmosphere, the same circumstances. Nothing had changed. If anything had, it was Mira. Once happy, laughing and playing, the pampered darling of her parents. She had one brother. There were two major families in the city, one from Hart Mansion. The other infamous as the Hart family. Both had always tyrannized the poor, but enmity between them had simmered for years. No one had ever tried to end it. In this feud, women had always been sacrificed. This time, an innocent 14-year-old girl had fallen into their hands, living a painful life moment by moment. She had no protector, No angel here for her. Yes, the one about whom a little was heard, he could become a storm in silence. As harsh as he was in anger, he was equally soft-hearted, but his kindness wasn't equal for everyone. Erics Hart did punish her, but he also considered it his duty to protect her from the elders' cruelty in the house. He was educated, with some sense of awareness. "Save me. These people are very bad, they'll kill me. It hurts so much, they beat me a lot. I don't want to stay here, send me back home." Today again, Mira stood before him, pleading. Her hiccups, tear-streaked innocent face, and fresh wounds testified to the cruelty. Sometimes Erics felt regret for her. She was so young and unprepared for all this. She had to bear her pain alone. "You do the same, understood?" Referring to the wedding ceremony girl, he said with a hint of wisdom, looking into her ocean-like eyes. Mira said, "My name is Mira Zubair." Innocently, she added her grandfather's name. She disliked this name. People always called her the wedding ceremony girl. "I hate this name and its meaning. Why doesn't anyone say my name?" Here, everyone addressed her with strange nicknames, Eric said angrily. "No, Mira. Erics Hart is your name, understood? Don't add anything to your name again." He stepped forward and squeezed her arm. As he drew near, Mira's breath caught. Her eyelids trembled. A new bond existed between them. She was innocent and young, but not so inexperienced that a man's proximity wouldn't send shivers through her body. "I want to go home," she said through tears. For a few moments, he gazed at her closely, then stepped back after some thought. Taking a deep breath, he saw her large eyes staring at him. Those grey eyes weakened Eric's heart for some reason. He forgot his hatred when his gaze fell into those innocent eyes. "Go where? Home?" he kept asking. "You want to go? Then go," Mira said. "No, you people will kill me. Kill my grandfather too." She wasn't that foolish. She had tried escaping before. The punishment then made her soul shudder at the thought. The threat to kill her father stunned her to the core. She wasn't willing to let her beloved father die. Despite Eric's open permission, she couldn't bring herself to flee. Sometimes he smiled at her helplessness. "Think carefully. I'm giving you a good chance to escape. It won't come again." He leaned in a bit and said, shaking his head in denial. Then shrugging, he moved forward. Mira watched his back through tears as he left. Sometimes she felt good when unexpected help came, making her heart glad. Sometimes, seeing him in pain, she pretended not to notice. Mira lived in that same room, lying in a corner like useless junk. Eric's studies weren't complete yet, so he spent most of his time in the city. Now he stayed there regularly until his education finished. A few months later, Eric's left for studies abroad. Suddenly, after some time, news came of Mira's disappearance. Despite searches in the entire area, nearby regions, and the city, no trace of Mira was found. When the news reached Eric's, a sharp anger hit him for a moment. But the next, he composed himself. Mira always tried to escape. Someone must have helped her. Otherwise, fleeing the mansion was impossible. But for now, he couldn't abandon his studies and come to America to humiliate himself over an ordinary girl. Yet he had sworn to himself to find her. "Hide wherever you want, Mira. You'll remain Eric's Hart's property. I'll find you soon, and then fear your fate." In anger, he spat her name. It was settled that the coming time would be purely bad for Mira. All this was a question for Eric's Hart. She was breathing under his name. "Hey, Mira, hurry up. You know today is our university's big program. I'm so excited. My friend is getting the Best Student Award. Okay, just don't be late. When you start dreaming, come on," her friend would say. Looking at her beautiful face, grey eyes, innocent face, still very captivating. The beauty of youth could wound anyone. She was perhaps 22 or 20, hard to say. "Can I ask something?" the friend teased. "I'll ask even if you say no." "Okay, tell me, why does fear always creep into those grey eyes when going out? Why do you become so withdrawn?" At this question, a shadow of fear fell over Mira's eyes. An old wound reopened, waves of pain ran through every limb. Don't bring past wounds into the present, or the present will get stuck in the past and ruin, she said, lost in deep thought, when her friend's voice reached her ears again. She heard, "Friend, this is a dream prince. I wish he were mine." Her friend was impressed by Erics Hart's personality. "I've never seen such a handsome man," she whispered. Mira's heartbeat echoed in her ears. With wide eyes, she stared at Erics. She herself was surprised how quickly the present had overcome the past, how she went on stage and received the award. Everything felt like a dream. When the name was called, her eyes stopped. When it was announced, she couldn't believe it. The one she had desperately hidden from was standing right there. A smile appeared on Erics's face. It was victory or something else. He couldn't understand. "What's wrong? You're so beautiful. When I gave you the award, you fainted," he said, laughing, and lifted her in his arms. The friend, regaining consciousness, was chattering. She was silent. "Will you say something now?" "How did I get here? Who was he?" The friend teased. "Erics Hart brought you from the hospital and paid all the expenses." "Okay, are you fine?" "No, friend, I'm not feeling well." No excuse, but still. "Let's go." At her friend's insistence, she gathered courage and went, but her heart was separately terrified. How far could she run? After all, the bond between them was fate's game, despite all efforts to hide. She couldn't hide anymore. What would happen now? Suddenly, a voice from behind, in a grand style, changed the atmosphere. "Assalamu alaikum, Miss Mira." She jumped in fear. There was sarcasm in the tone. She was too ashamed to even return the greeting. His tall stature and enchanting personality, anyone who saw him looked back. Tall height, athletic body, fair skin, and black eyes were his features. The entire university was watching him. He wasn't oblivious to this beauty, for now his black eyes were fixed on the terrified grey ones. "You're the one, right?" As he started to say something, her friend interrupted. His face came close. Eric standing there. "It seems your friend's not well. She should rest. We'll meet later," he said, smiling in a beautiful voice. Was this really Erics Hart? Mira was stunned. He had appeared in a new form from the destructive past. For a few days, when there was no move from his side, a deep silence fell. Mira became very frightened by this silence, living moment by moment in fear. She couldn't understand what to do. Then one day, the atmosphere changed. Yes, a difference came. Erics Hart had become a successful businessman. His news was on every channel and girls' eyes were on him. This irritated Mira, and somewhere stirred a feeling in her heart. But she hid it. In this unknown form, the silence aroused curiosity. Why was he silent? Why no revenge? Today, after so many days, he was invited to the university program. Every eye was waiting for him. Mira was also radiant in beautiful black attire. Suddenly, another bombshell. A news shocked everyone. Where Erics Hart had raised his hand in anger, Mira remained semi-conscious. "What's all this happening?" She was unaware of herself. Her classmate Adam had proposed to Mira, and everything was in front. Doomsday had come for Mira. Mira's gaze was only on those bloodthirsty eyes fixed on her. Breathing became difficult. She could see Erics Hart's face red with anger, deep lines on his forehead, self-control failing. Her heartbeat had slowed. There was noise everywhere. "Yes!" cheers echoed. In that noise, two people were fighting their emotions and memories of the past. Eric strode quickly toward her. She stepped back one by one in fear. Suddenly, silence fell. All eyes were on them. One filled with possessiveness and anger, the other with fear, terror, and pleading. Eric grabbed her hand firmly and stood her in front of Adam. Rage boiled in his eyes. Adam feared for a moment. "She is mine, my wife," Eric said in a heavy voice. "Mira is Erics Hart." Whispers spread around. Adam's heart broke. Mira's friend drowned in jealousy. Mira's heart prayed to God. "Allah, save me from Eric's anger." He held Erics Hart's hand and took him to her apartment. Mira sat in the room, panicked. Thinking about the attitude Erics had adopted, it was head-splitting. She had been alone in the room for less than half an hour, and Erics hadn't returned yet. He was busy talking to the mansion people, explaining to them Today's news had reached the entire neighborhood. Some looked at her with hatred, some eyes were moist. Her own people's hearts wanted her safety, and enemies awaited her death. Now it was all in Erics Hart's hands. What he would do. Whom he would give a chance, whom punishment. For now, he was preparing his own punishment. "When I gave you the chance, why did you run?" He confronted her. His facial expressions were stern. Sharp eyes fell on the terrified, fragile being. "Dare cry now?" Furrowing his brow, he immediately stopped her, who was trembling with sobs. "Forgive me, I didn't know this would happen. Please, Mira, believe me." His tone was cold in her teary eyes. There was no softness today. He was dangerously angry. Fear paralyzed Mira. Eric said, "Your mistake is that you've forgotten who you are, whose trust you are. Now it's time to show you your place." At his threat, Mira's face went pale. Adjusting, he reached her in one leap. Pinned her wrist against the wall. Her heart leapt to her throat. Their faces were very close, black eyes in grey. His warm breath felt on her face. Words wouldn't come out. His deadly proximity paralyzed her. "Whose trust are you?" he roared. Mira's crying intensified. She shook her head in denial, both hands on his chest, creating a little distance. "Believe me, I didn't know he would do this. I had no idea. I haven't talked to anyone till today." Mira cried intensely, proving her innocence. Releasing her in anger, Eric stood by the window. His face was red. He lit a cigarette and, with sharp eyes fixed, looked at Mira sitting on the floor crying. In anger, he stepped forward, grabbed her arm, and stood her in front of him. "Am I yours?" he yelled. "You forgot you were the girl who came to a wedding ceremony, the daughter of my brother's killer. You have no right to decide your life yourself. Your freedom and imprisonment are in my hands, and how did you rebel?" He shouted in rage. Mira was trembling. Erics Hart's anger touched the sky. He couldn't imagine someone proposing to his wife in front of him. That thought burned him inside. "I'll show you your real place," he said in a threatening voice. "No, please don't do this to me. Don't come near." Mira closed her eyes in fear. "Why shouldn't I? It's my right. You're my wife," he said meaningfully. Drawing closer, Mira squeezed her eyes shut in terror. If Erics hadn't been angry, perhaps this relationship could have started with love for both. But today, because of anger and hatred, the situation had completely changed. "Please stop, I don't want any of this." At her refusal, Erics's mind spun. "Who are you to want or not want? Remember your place and don't take undue advantage of my softness." In rage, he pushed her onto the bed, removed her dupatta, and after a short journey of lips from forehead to neck, now leaned intensely over her lips. It was his will, and Mira's endurance was reaching its limit. He began touching every feature of her face with his lips, not pausing for even a moment. As the night deepened, Erics's boldness grew. Mira writhed in his grip and embrace. Tonight, he had taken all the revenge he couldn't years ago. Adam's mistake had challenged his honor, awakening the dormant beast within him. When morning came and her eyes opened, his gaze fell on Mira's innocent face. For the first time, he was looking at her leisurely. Before, whenever he had seen her, she was very young. He had never lingered this long. But whenever he peered into her crying grey eyes, a unique sensation would overtake him. Last night, he had been in rage. Now he felt a bit ashamed of what he had done. His touch had started with anger and hatred, but as he drew closer, it transformed into gentleness. Otherwise, how could he let her sleep so peacefully by his side? Today, it felt like he had never seen such a beautiful sight. He had never imagined that this girl, who had always been a symbol of hatred, would one day lie as his wife by his side. Now she had quietly slipped into his heart, and he could do nothing about it. He had decided he would never let her be far from him again. Leaning down, he kissed her forehead and smiled softly, seeing her deep sleep. Mira was truly sleeping peacefully. She had endured his intense behavior all night. He got up and left quietly. When Mira's eyes opened, she was alone in the apartment. The thought of Erics Hart immediately filled her with fear. Last night had taught her much. but it had also left deep wounds on her heart. She remembered that night even today, how difficult it had been to escape his captivity and flee. She had reached her father with hope, but he turned his face away. He had already given his daughter to the enemies. Now he couldn't lose his son. Her father's refusal broke her from within. He knew what torment she had escaped, but his indifference killed her while she was still alive. Then she felt it would be better to die. Life had become a torment for her. Who was she living for? Who was her own? How long could she keep herself alive like this? But she didn't know she had become very special to someone their life. She was crying over her fate when suddenly a car stopped in front of her. She didn't even realize when or how she got in and reached the city. Who helped? Why they didn't want to know. For her, it was enough that she was free, breathing open air. The people who helped educated her, taught her, and left her in a college dorm. She was told she would stay there now, get an education, and expenses would reach her. Mira never tried to find out who did all this. Why? Sometimes she thought perhaps her grandfather or brother had. If she ever met them, she would definitely ask. When she begged for help, why didn't they? Was the fear of the world so great that they forgot their own blood? She had taught herself to live with great difficulty. When she first came to the dorm, nights passed wide awake. She feared the mansion people might come. When the fear subsided, hope took its place. She hadn't even fully felt the freedom when he appeared again, Erics Hart. And this time, he had wounded her soul. Mira began to hate herself. She didn't want any of this. The one her heart was attaching to had wounded it. Can the heart stay alive when the soul is broken? She stood in front of the mirror, looking at herself when he came and stood behind her. Unnoticed, there was a strange pull in Erics Hart's eyes. Leaning down, he enclosed her from behind in his embrace. She startled. "Relax, wife. It's me. Look at yourself carefully. Yesterday, there was no color on your face. Today, see, feel this color. It's the color of my touch. You're lucky," he whispered, kissed her cheek, and pressed his face to hers. Mira panicked at his closeness. There was hatred in her heart, but his scent had stolen her senses. "Get ready! We have to go to the mansion." Hearing this, she jumped. "No, I won't go there. You can't do this. You've already oppressed me enough. Without my permission," with a trembling voice, she said. "If you force me, I'll take my own life." Erics watched her silently. She was releasing years of pent-up anger. "I fold my hands, please. Don't take me there. Whatever punishment you want to give it here, but not there. Those people won't leave me alive. You're educated. You should understand. I'm innocent." "And you know," she kept crying while Eric stood quietly watching. "Done? Now come. Whether you want to or not, we have to go." He hardened again. Mira's tears wouldn't stop. "Please stop. Those people humiliate me." Eric gently wiped her tears, but she jerked his hand away. "Whatever will happen, he said, starting to drive the car. Mira kept watching. This cruel man she hated in some corner of her heart had started beating for him. The car stopped at the mansion's gates. In her heart, she prayed for death, but no prayer was answered. Eric opened the door, held her hand, and took her in front of everyone. Hatred was on every face. Eric's mother screamed in anger, "This is that vile one! She ran away, right? Now she'll get such punishment that the whole area will remember." Mira stood terrified, pressed against Eric's back. Eric said loudly in front of everyone, "Come forward and tell me, who was the person who came to her room that night?" Everyone fell silent. Mira looked at him in astonishment. His mother stepped forward. "You're protecting her. She's your brother's killer." Eric took a deep breath. "Sit down, everyone, and listen to me. Her father committed the murder. He paid the price by giving his daughter. We oppressed in the name of our traditions. Did that oppression bring our brother back? Did he come alive? No. Enough is enough now. I don't believe in such traditions. If anyone touches her, they will be responsible for the consequences themselves. She is my wife in my name. I have accepted her. You all can accept if you want, otherwise stay away from her." Everyone was silent. Even Erics's mother's face had gone pale. Erics held Mira's hand and left from there. In the room, he smiled. "If you say thank you now." "I'm not in the mood to listen." Mira started crying this time. Her tears were of gratitude. Erics gently kissed her hair. "Is this how you say thank you?" he said in a soft tone. Mira pressed to his chest with hiccups. Said, "Why did you trouble me so much? Why keep yourself away for so many years? Why stay bad when you were so good?" Eric smiled and said, "Okay, now stop. Give peace to those beautiful eyes that I fell in love with. The first time I looked into your grey eyes, I lost my heart then." And wiping her tears, he lovingly placed his lips on her cheek. Mira asked softly, "That day, you came to save me, but why didn't you come forward?" Erics took a deep breath. "I didn't like these traditions. The marriage was also forced. When I saw oppression on you, I couldn't bear it. When I got leave, I came to save you, but you didn't believe. Then I kept an eye on you, waiting for the right time. I was to come forward when things settled. But Adam's action broke my restraint. There was softness in his words, truth." Mira's heartbeat quickened. A peace descended within her. There was someone who wanted her, and she herself had started loving him. Both close to each other, enveloped in one another, slept peacefully.